Every gag order has a crack. In the Siders case, the crack is Ohio's public records law, and reporters have already found it. This weekend, while most of the country was thinking the Siders case had gone quiet, something else was happening in newsrooms across Ohio. Reporters were shifting their whole strategy. They were putting down the phone. They were stopping the source calls. They were sitting down at their desks with blank forms in front of them. And they were writing something older, slower, and much harder to stop. They were writing public records requests. I want to walk you through this piece of the story tonight because it is one of the most important things happening right now, and almost nobody outside the newsroom world is talking about it. Sit with me for a few minutes. I am going to teach you how the news actually works when a judge tries to shut it down. And by the end, you are going to have a whole new respect for the people who cover courthouses for a living. Let me back up. On July 23rd, Judge Fetherolf Rogers signed the second gag order in the Siders case. That order silenced a wide group of people: the lawyers, the staff, the investigators, the experts, anyone acting as an agent or representative of the defense. That was the front door, and she closed it. But inside that same order, buried in the language, there was one small phrase that everyone with a press badge in Ohio read very carefully. The order said, "Information that is part of the official public record can still be released under Ohio's public records laws." That is the crack. That single carve-out means the judge did not, and legally could not, shut off Ohio's Sunshine Law, because Ohio has a long tradition of open records. Government paperwork in Ohio is presumed to be public unless a specific rule says otherwise. And that presumption is written into state law, not into a judge's order, which means no county judge can override it. Not even in a gag-ordered case, not even in a case involving children, not even now. The judge probably knew that when she wrote the order. She probably included the carve-out on purpose because if she had not, the Columbus Dispatch would have had one more thing to sue her over. So she left the door open, a crack, and reporters walked through it. Now let me explain what a public records request actually is, because I do not want anyone to feel lost. A public records request is a formal letter or an email or a form filled out on a government website asking for copies of government paperwork. That paperwork could be anything the government keeps: court dockets, filed motions, meeting minutes, sheriff's reports, building inspections, school attendance records, foster care placements, utility records. It is a very wide category. In Ohio, the government is required by law to respond to that request within a reasonable time. They can charge for copies, they can redact certain names, they can refuse to release things that fall under specific legal exemptions, but they cannot ignore the request. They have to answer. That is the tool reporters are now using in the Siders case. Let me tell you what they are asking for. Not because I have inside information, but because if you know how newsrooms work, you can guess very accurately. They are asking for the docket sheet for every hearing in the Siders case. Not the contents of sealed filings, just the titles, the dates, and the names of the people involved. That much is public. They are asking for prior contacts between the Siders family and Ohio Adult Protective Services and Ohio Child Protective Services. Not the case files themselves, which may be sealed, but the summary reports and the dates of contact. Some of that is legally available. They are asking for birth records, marriage records, divorce filings, small claims cases, traffic tickets, utility hookup histories at the Omer Street address. All of those are public by default. They are asking for jail booking records, GPS monitoring reports, bond payment records. All of those are public in Ohio. They are asking for prior involvement between BCI and any address ever associated with the Siders family. Some of that information is available under state records law. And they are asking for the transcript of every open court hearing that has taken place in the case so far. Not sealed hearings, just the open ones. Those transcripts exist. Court reporters make them. They are public documents. None of that is source-based reporting. None of it involves a lawyer breaking a gag order. None of it depends on anybody talking to a journalist. It is all paperwork. Cold, quiet, patient paperwork. That is the new shape of the story. I want you to understand what this means for the coverage you are going to see over the next few weeks. You are not going to see many exciting new sound bites. You are not going to see leaked photos. You are not going to see dramatic interviews with unnamed sources, because the sources are silenced. What you are going to see instead is a slow drip of documents, a CPS record from 2019, a traffic stop report from 2020, a utility hookup from 2016, a small claims case from 2018. Each one on its own will look small, but if you line them up, they will start to tell you a story. That is how deep journalism works. Piece by piece, filing by filing, record by record. It is slower, it is harder, it is less flashy, but it is much, much stronger. Because a record cannot change its mind on the witness stand. A record cannot be pressured to keep quiet. A record cannot forget. A record is a record. It stays what it is. Now, I want to say something about the reporters who do this work, because most of us do not think about them enough. The kind of reporter who files public records requests is usually not a household name. They do not appear on television. They do not have a big social media following. They sit in a small office. They read government paperwork all day. They send letters. They wait for responses. They file appeals when they are denied. That work takes years to master, and when they do it well, they crack open the biggest cases in America. Every major criminal case in the last 20 years that broke wide open eventually had a records-based reporter behind it. Not always by name, not always in the credits, but behind the scenes, somebody was filing the requests, somebody was reading the paperwork, somebody was noticing the pattern. The Siders case is now that kind of case, because the front door reporting is closed. Only the back door reporting is left, and Judge Fetherolf Rogers left that back door open on purpose, or by law. Either way, it is open. Let me talk to you about the bigger idea for a minute, because this is where older adults, in my experience, understand something younger viewers sometimes miss. Transparency is not something a judge gives you. Transparency is something citizens extract from the government, one filing at a time. Every open record in this country exists because somebody at some point fought for it to be open. Some of those fights happened decades ago. Some of them are still going on. But every single sunshine law in every single state has a story behind it. And most of those stories involve a newspaper or a citizen or a small nonprofit who refuse to take no for an answer. Ohio's public records law is one of the strongest in the country. That is not by accident. That is by fight. Generations of Ohio journalists and citizens have gone to court to defend it. And now, in this case, that same law is what keeps the Siders story from disappearing behind a curtain. That is worth being proud of. Even in the middle of a case as ugly as this one, we can be proud of the system that keeps the truth reachable. Now, I want to give you something practical. You do not have to be a reporter to file a public records request. Any citizen in Ohio can file one. If you are curious about a case or a public official or how your local government spends your tax money, you can file a request too. The form is on your state's website. It is usually free to file. There may be small costs to copy records, but for basic requests, most of the time, it is free. I am not suggesting you file a request on the Siders case. That is the reporter's job. They will do it better than any of us. But I am telling you that the same tool is available to you for the cases that touch your own life. If you ever want to see how a decision was made, or why a permit was denied, or what a school board voted on last spring, you can ask, and they have to answer. That is the deal we have made as a country. Government paperwork belongs to the public, and a records request is how you claim what already belongs to you. I love that. I hope you do too. All right, let me bring it home. The July 23rd gag order silenced a lot of people in the Siders case, but it did not silence the records. And this weekend, reporters started filing the paperwork that will keep this case alive in the news for weeks and months and maybe years. Not through leaks, not through gossip, through documents. When they close the front door, someone is always writing a records request at the back one. That is the story I wanted to tell you tonight. Not about the case itself, about how the case is going to keep breathing even after the courtroom goes quiet. Because it will keep breathing, because reporters know their job, because Ohio law is old and strong, because the judge, whether she meant to or not, left a small crack, and because a small crack is all patient people need. Thank you for staying with me tonight. Thank you for caring about how the news actually works and not just what the news says. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Keep your eyes open. And when the small documents start dropping over the next few weeks, come back here. We will read them together. I will see you in the next one. Take care. One last piece before I sign off. The most important record request that has been filed this week, according to what I have been able to piece together from public sources, is a request for any prior contacts between the Siders family and Ohio Adult Protective Services. That request matters because if APS was ever called to that house before, and if the visits were logged, and if no removal was ever ordered, that is going to be a very big story on its own. APS in Ohio has been under scrutiny for years for missing warning signs in adult vulnerable population cases. The Siders family is a mixed-generation household, meaning APS could have been called about older adults as well as children. And any prior contact, even routine, would help us understand how long the system had a chance to intervene before it finally did. We do not have the answer yet. The records request is still pending. But when it comes back one way or another, it will be part of the story we tell together. Stay with me. Keep watching the small filings. And remember, the truth in cases like this one does not arrive all at once. It arrives in envelopes, one at a time, slowly, over months, and sometimes over years. Take care of yourself, take care of the people you love, and I will see you in the next update. Before you close this out tonight, I want you to remember one small habit. If you ever want to know what is really happening in your own county courthouse, look up your local court docket online. Most Ohio counties and most counties across the country have online dockets you can search by case name. It takes about 2 minutes to figure out. Once you know how to read one, you can follow any local case for the rest of your life without ever needing a reporter to tell you what happened. That is a small skill, but it is a citizen skill, and it belongs to you. Take care. See you soon. One more thought I want to leave with you. Public records law is not the same in every state. Ohio is strong. Some states are weak. Some states let officials block requests for years. Some states make you pay huge fees just to see a docket. So if you live outside Ohio, take a moment this week and look up your own state's sunshine law. Know your own rights before you ever need them. That is homework worth doing, because the day you need to see a government record is not the day you want to learn how the system works. Take care of yourself. See you soon.